Joining me now, retired two-star Marine Corps General, the Punaro Group CEO, and author of The Ever-Shrinking Fighting Force, General Arnold Punaro. General Punaro, it's great to see you this morning. Thank you so much for being here. Your reaction to Edwards' report and Janet Yellen's visit to Beijing.
Well, Jackie, always a privilege to be with you. And as you know from your own deep knowledge of China and understanding of the Mandarin language, tough talk is necessary, but tougher actions are essential. China's on the march militarily, economically, diplomatically, and technologically. And despite all these headwinds, the United States still does tremendous amount of business with China. We import over $500 billion a year, primarily electronics, clothing, toys, games, pharmaceuticals. We export about $200 billion to China. They own, about $868 billion of our public debt. And we have to understand that China is not our friend. They're not our ally. They're not our partner. They're not our competitor. They're our adversary. Yeah. Xi Jinping and the Chinese Communist Party wants to basically dominate the world economically and militarily and do away with Western democratic freedoms. And so we need to basically continue these very strong export controls on critical technologies and not send them to China. We need to make our own supply chains more resilient. The fact that China's going to choke back on some of the critical elements is a wake-up call. We need to rebuild our strategic mineral stockpile. It used to be around $42 billion worth. Now it's under $1 billion. There's so many things that we've got to actually take tougher actions on here in the United States to deal with what's going to be, a decade-long, not just economic, but military competition.
General, to your point, the administration is taking some action with respect to exports to China, but it seems like they're sort of dancing around some of the crucial issues, right? Everybody watching Beijing to see what its next move will be with respect to Taiwan. You've got Antony Blinken going over there. Now it's Janet Yellen. Why isn't the president picking up the phone and really laying down the law when it comes to relations between the U.S. and China with Xi Jinping?
Well, it's important for countries, particularly countries that are at odds with each other, to be able to communicate and talk. We always had communications with the Soviet Union and the Warsaw Pact in the peak of the Cold War. But talk is not sufficient. With people like Putin and with people like Xi Jinping, with dictators in Iran and North Korea, you've got to basically deter their actions with offensive firepower and offensive capability and economic prowess. We need to do a heck of a lot more to basically deter China from taking any kind of either kinetic action or other kind of action against Taiwan. We're doing a lot more there. I would say one of the good things that's happening in Washington is the bipartisan support in the Congress to deal with all the aspects of the Chinese relationships. You've got the new China Select Committee chaired by Mike Gallagher and ranking member Roger Christmas-Worthy. They've got 10 very powerful recommendations that I think are going to see some support in the Congress. You have the CHIP Act, where we've got to rebuild our own supply chain. So, yes, talk is important, but tough actions are a heck of a lot more important when you're dealing with people like Xi Jinping.
It's going to be a little difficult to rebuild the supply chain and manufacture more chips here if they're restricting the rare minerals that we need to do it. We've got to find other places to get them. I want to switch gears, though, for a moment while I have you, because you did mention Vladimir Putin, and the U.S. Air Force is now accusing Russia of harassing U.S. drones over Syria. This is after new videos show that Moscow's military fighter jets were flying dangerously close and then deploying flares yesterday and on Wednesday. Russia trying to shift the blame onto the U.S. for these incidents. Here's what the Pentagon had to say about this yesterday. Watch this, sir.
Was the U.S. violating deconfliction protocols? Or
did you see the video? We have rules in place, that, well-established processes and procedures, and have very successfully deconflicted with the Russians over many years when it comes to, safe operations in that region. So to suggest that somehow, this is our fault, it's ridiculous.
General, quick reaction, please.
First of all, it's really important for the United States and our partners to continue to operate in that airspace in Syria as part of our defeat ISIS. We don't want ISIS to rebuild their capability to export their brand of terrorism in the Middle East or to the United States. These were manned Russian fighters against unmanned MQ-9 Reaper drones. The Reaper drones can do surveillance, but they also have powerful offensive weapons and have taken out a lot of bad guys over the years. This is a typical Russian Cold War playbook, reckless behavior. And frankly, the quicker that the West joins with Ukraine to defeat Putin in Russia and send him back to Moscow, they will stop this kind of reckless behavior in other parts of the world. So we've got to keep the pedal to the metal in terms of the fight in Ukraine.
General Arnold Punaro, great to see you this morning, sir. Thank you.
And Jackie, congratulations to you on your 2-year anniversary of surviving breast cancer. You have a lot to be proud of, and we are certainly very respectful and admirable of not just your courage, but your candor.
Thank you so much, General. That means a lot. Thank you.
You're quite welcome.